I find that many people are waiting for other people to make decisions for them. They're waiting to have the other person decide if the relationship will continue. They're waiting for the other person to step up to the plate and do the right thing. They're waiting for closure. They're waiting for people to say what they need to say. They're waiting for that apology. But what happens when we wait for that? What happens when we wait for that apology? What happens when we wait for that closure? What happens when we wait for that decision? In today's video, I'm going to talk about waiting for that decision, waiting for that closure, what happens in that situation, and how we can offset that so that the best outcome actually comes out for us. Welcome back, friends. Berges here today. And today I'm going to be talking about waiting for that decision, waiting for that apology, waiting for that closure. And I find that many of us are waiting for that. We're waiting for that other person to step up to the plate. We're waiting for that other person to do the right thing. We're waiting for that other person to get it. But what happens when they don't get it? What happens when we're sitting there waiting for them to get it and nothing's happening? Well, what I found is a lot of people, we sit in limbo. We're in limbo. We're in a state of inaction. We don't know what to do. And recently I've been working with some clients who are waiting for the other person to decide what the fate of the relationship is based on the fact that they changed their attitude or changed their actions. And what I found is that a lot of times we're waiting for someone to make changes that they're not maybe capable of making, but also we're maybe hoping that they make changes that maybe they don't even necessarily want to make or even know that they have to make them. And I find that when we find ourselves in these relationships, we get stuck. We get stuck because we can't move forward. What do? If you don't know if you're in a relationship or you don't know if the relationship's going to get better, it's not like you can start really analyzing your situation. It's not like you can really start working on yourself because you're constantly bombarded by what's happening with this relationship. And I definitely, if you followed any of my work, you know that I do not agree with jumping from relationship to relationship, monkey branching kind of sort of thing. I just don't agree with that because why? Because we don't learn from our situations, we don't work on ourselves, and we don't work on those triggers and issues that we had from the previous relationship. We just bring them back, we just bring them forward into the next relationship and deal with it all over again. So what do we do when we find ourselves in a situation where it seems like the ball is in that other person's proverbial court? What do? Well, the first thing that I've realized is that we have to take the ball out of their court. If there's no ball, there's no court, there's no nothing. It's interesting how we create in our mind that we can't do something or that the other person has to take responsibility or I should wait until they come around and tell me X, Y, Z. Okay? What I've realized is that in that situation, and there's a struggle, whether it's am I going to stay in this relationship? Am I not? Is the relationship going to get better based on is he going to make changes or is she going to make changes? It's going to be appropriate for us to continue this relationship? Or is that person ever going to step up to the plate and apologize for the wrongdoings that they did to me? All those things. And I've realized that we have to get right with ourselves to understand exactly what. To understand what we want from the other person. I think that when we don't really know what we want, we allow other people to make decisions for us, right? Because we really don't know what we want. Because if we really had a hard angle as to what we want, knowing it specifically, I want to stay in this relationship if and only if this person begins to work on themselves, this person goes into coaching or therapy, this person recognizes what they're doing as far as the projection or the manipulation or the gaslighting, and we have a real conversation and we come to an agreement on that, and then we see over a period of time, are they going to stand up to their agreement and do what they said they're going to do? Am I going to continue to work on myself and do what I say I'm going to do? And over time, do I see progress? Okay? And what I've found is that we don't need to sit here and wait on the sidelines to decide, is this person going to do that? I really think that there comes a time where you have to get that je ne sais quoi. You have to get that thing, and I don't want to use the word balls, but you have to get, whether it's lady balls or man balls or whatever you want to talk about, I think it's more about having security in your own feeling, but also having security in the fact that if they don't do something, it's okay to let the relationship go. Like, we're not tethered to this. This isn't like their end-all, be-all. Like, this isn't the... And that's really hard to understand, is that some of us, and I get it, it's hard to see life past that relationship. It's hard to see life past that person. What do? And so what I recommend in these situations specifically, if we're waiting for a relationship to be figured out, if we don't know if the person's going to jump up and do the right thing, are they going to get coaching? Are they going to get therapy? Are they going to work on the struggles as I'm working independently of that? And so I think that if you start writing down the things that you actually want this person to do and have these conversations, I think that it's really quick to get to the quick of the situation. Are they willing to even listen? Okay. Are they willing to communicate effectively in the conversation without projection or finger pointing and all that mess, gaslighting, manipulation? And if they are able to listen, and then you do see them actually positively moving forward, okay, now there's another step, and then there's another step. And at the same time, we can't be asking someone to do things that we're not willing to do, right? And so we have to keep ourselves up to the plate doing those same things. And I think over time, you'll see if somebody really is honest about making these changes, or if it's just lip service because it's just back into their programming. But I think the longer you wait kind of in exile and limbo, not really taking care of the situation and not preparing yourself for either it working or not working. Now, when it comes to the concept of closure or forgiveness or apology, what I've realized is that we can be holding the bag for a very long time. And it's interesting when I find out that some of my clients have issues with their family dynamics. There's issues that were never dealt with. There was, it's never been spoken about. It's been something that people have avoided. And what I find is that the bearing of that and carrying of that issue creates static friction, fear, resentment, anger within ourselves, right? And so there comes a time when we have to look at the situation all in all from every side, forgiving ourselves for being involved and pretty much forgiving the other people. But I also feel at the same time that if that is something that you want to hear or there is closure that you need, closure doesn't always have to be a successful, positive closure. Sometimes bringing up in a positive or neutral way to the person what they haven't done or what you would like to have done. If they do it, that's great. If they don't, then there's your answer again. I think that sometimes we're always looking for that yes. Sometimes we're always looking for the kumbaya moment where everybody becomes best friends again or everybody accepts it and we move forward. And sometimes that's just not realistic. Okay, and I know that I don't want to sound like, oh, doomsday, but at the same time, isn't it better to know if somebody's not going to do the right thing? Isn't it better to know to put it out there in a positive or neutral way? And because remember, when we put it out there in a negative way or an angry way, then we feel guilt, right? Oh gosh, if I would have just done it differently, if I would have just acted differently, if I would have presented myself differently, maybe this would have all worked out. And I'm here to tell you that probably wouldn't have changed anything. But the guilt and the shame that comes from it makes it even worse. Okay, so what I found out is that if you really want somebody to apologize or get right with the situation, and there's some gray areas here because there's some things that are very tough to discuss. And I'm talking about a friend that's lied to you, or somebody that's done you wrong, somebody's cheated on you, that sort of thing. There's different levels of this, right? But in that situation, it's bringing it up in a neutral way. And then basically seeing what they say. And you can go back and forth a little bit, but allowing the fact that this person is making their own choices and understanding that if they don't apologize or make right for what they've done, then can you see the fact that this might not be a person that needs to be in your life? Can you accept that? And I feel like once we accept and see other people's limitations, and I'm not saying that they're here and we're here or whatever, but when we see other people's limitations and inability to perhaps do the right thing or be empathetic or understand what they've done, I think that's a transformation period where we begin to say, okay, I don't need to wait anymore on this person doing the right thing. I don't need to put all my energy and focal into them. At this point in time, I need to take that energy that I'm deflecting on them and bring it back to me and let go of this relationship because it's no longer serving me at all. There's nothing positive or valuable coming from this that's going to enable me in any positive way in my life, right? And so I think that the faster we can figure this out, the quicker we can detach from things that no longer serve us in our life. And I know that people say, what does that mean, no longer serve you? Okay, well, let me explain that. So when I say that, relationships of all types are here to make us better than we were yesterday. Okay, some of those relationships do it in a way where you have amazing friends that push you in a positive way, that make you see your value, that really help you to shine. There's some other relationships that are more neutral, Okay, they're just kind of there. And then there's some relationships that are very antagonistic, maybe even toxic. Okay, and in these toxic relationships, these are some of the biggest revelations we can have about our life, right? We can get triggered often. We can be in a manipulative, gaslighting type situation. We can be in a very negative, toxic relationship, but it's the way we handle it and how we get out of it and how we learn from it. Okay, and so some of these relationships are not the rainbows and the unicorns and the happiness and the cotton candy. Some of them are quite different. But the interesting part that I found out about it is once you realize that and you've tried to work it out with that person and you've tried to make changes, once you know that that person is incapable of either seeing the part that they play or that they're going to constantly play the victim no matter what, and you realize that, that's a quicker way to get out of the situation so you're not beating your head against the wall, okay? And that's what happens a lot of times, right? As we go back and forth, back into the relationship, same thing happens. Oh, they said they changed. No, they didn't, okay? So it's like, why keep wasting our time and begin to see that? And so what I'm recommending in this video is if there's a decision that you need to make, if there's some closure that you need to have, if there's an apology that you've been waiting for, go reach out to that person as soon as possible and begin the dialogue of communication in a positive or neutral way, okay? And begin and write down what it is that you want from that person and really analyze and think about this. This is what I want. How am I going to convey that? And basically ask the question, are you going to get help? Are you going to go to a counselor? Are you going to go to a life coach? Are you going to have this person help you with these issues in your life? I'm going to someone right now, and this is what I'm working on. Or, you know, if you're wanting an apology from somebody, hey, this is what happened, you know, and this is how I felt about it, and I, you know, I'm looking toward you to making it right, you know, whether it's an apology or an explanation, you know, I could, you know, and if they do that, that's great. If they don't, realizing that they're incapable or they've decided not to do this. And at some point in time, once that happens, you know, I believe that there's an ending to that relationship. We step back and we look at the situation and we begin to forgive ourselves for being in the relationship in the first place. And then we begin to do the soulful work of why we were actually in the relationship. I hope that you've liked this video. Please share it with anybody that you'd like to. And I'm so glad that you're a member. And we're putting together more and more videos all the time. If there's any type of content that you would like me to talk about, please let me know. And in the comments section, let us know what you think about the video. Let us know, was there a time where you had to finally make that decision? How did it go? Was there a time when you had to call someone out in a positive or neutral way? Did it work? I've been on both sides of that where I've asked for some closure and I've gotten it. I've been on the side of it where I had to get my own closure after I figured out that this person wasn't going to step up to the plate, but I didn't need to wait my whole life to find that out, okay? So I think this is a very timely message for many of you, and let me know what you think, okay? Don't forget to live your true life.